श्रीमती अपराजिता सारंगी.
Thank you, Chairperson, sir. It's both a privilege and an opportunity to speak on the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2021. I would start by saying that the term wildlife was coined by William Hornady in 1913 in his book, Our Vanishing Wildlife. All of us know what does wildlife imply. Wildlife implies all the biotic elements of the earth, including plants, animals, birds, and microbes of the world, excluding man, domestic animals, and cultivated plants. Sir, this particular bill is an example of the fact, is an indication of the fact that our government, Honorable Prime Minister Modi's government, has always tried to seek opinion of all as regards the amendments to be made. The other bill also I had spoken on, it had also gone to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. This particular bill had also been sent by the Ministry to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Now I must mention here that this bill had been tabled in the Lok Sabha by the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change on December 17, 2021. It was sent to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on December 25, 2021. And after careful examination, scrutiny, and with a set of recommendations, the Standing Committee sent it back to the Lok Sabha on April 21, 2022. And as we know, it seeks to amend the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Sir, wildlife conservation is the practice of protecting plant and animal species and their habitats. But sir, when we take up a bill for amendment and we examine the contours of the bill, it's extremely important to understand why the bill has been brought, why has the bill been tabled, and why there is a requirement for amendment in the Act. It's important to understand what does wildlife mean? What is the definition of wildlife? Sir, I'll take you to a definition by the World Bank. The World Bank had said wildlife is a crucial component of the ecosystem and it forms the livelihood of hundreds and millions of rural poor. And that is why we need to take this particular thing very seriously. Sir, at a time when the wildlife all the world over is under threat because of habitat conversion, poaching, and fragmentation, it's extremely important for all of us to sit with the policy makers, to work with the policy makers to safeguard wildlife protection in pursuit of poverty alleviation and inclusive growth. Shall I also take you to the Constitution of India? Article 51AG of the Constitution of India clearly states that it's the fundamental duty of every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests and wildlife. And that is why all 140 crore citizens of this country must protect wildlife, because it is something which has been told to us by the Constitution of India, which we, all of us, uphold in high esteem. Sir, as has been said by all the speakers to my right and to my left, that this bill seeks to increase the number of species protected under the Act so far. And as Honorable Minister, when he started the whole discussion, said, this particular bill intends to implement CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Sir, I'll not take much time. I will just say that there are 7 salient features. I'll very briefly touch upon these salient features. Number 1, the bill provides for the central government to designate a management authority which would look into the grant of export and import permits. It's very important. Every person engaging in the trade of a scheduled specimen must report the details to the management authority. This is one extremely important, and I would like the House to actually kind of keep this particular thing in mind. So number 2, rationalizing schedules. Right now, the Act has 6 schedules. This bill will bring it down to 4 schedules. Vermin species is getting eliminated. Very briefly, I'm touching upon the salient features. The third, many of my friends on the right have mentioned. At the cost of being repetitive, I would say that we also talk of invasive alien species. So this refers to plant and animal which are not native to India and whose introduction to the country would adversely impact our wildlife and their habitat. So we have to handle them very carefully, sir. The bill empowers the central government to regulate and prohibit the trade of these invasive alien species. So fourth, control of sanctuaries. One of my friends to my left talked of the Ranthambore sanctuary. So the bill specifies that the actions of the chief wildlife warden should be in accordance with the management plans of the sanctuary. Very briefly, I wanted to touch upon the points. So there are 565 wildlife sanctuaries in our country, and we all need to protect them very well. So the fifth point is the conservation reserve. Sir, under the Act, the state government may declare areas adjacent to the national parks or the sanctuaries or conservation reserve. Now here the bill is also including the central government. Central government, if it so desires, can actually declare a particular area adjacent to the national park or sanctuary as a conservation reserve. And this is definitely, I would say, a wonderful, a welcome addition to the Act. Sir, surrender of captive animals, very important. The bill provides for any person to voluntarily surrender any captive animals or animal products to the chief wildlife warden, no compensation. Sir, last, most important is, of course, the talk about fines. Fines have been increased, and this reveals the fact that we are very much concerned about the protection, the conservation of wildlife and the habitat. Fines have been increased from 25,000 to rupees 1 lakh, and for specially protected animals from at least rupees 10,000 to at least rupees 25,000. Sir, I remember when Honorable Minister had taken over as the Minister of the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, he had made a statement. Maybe many of you might not have marked. I had read it, and I was impressed, and I really, I appreciated. He had said, Environment Ministry is not an obstacle, but a solution provider. So the second thing I would definitely like to mention here, I would like to quote Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi has said, the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are being treated. Very interesting. And sir, of course, a couple of months back, we were all listening to Man Ki Baat on the last Sunday of the month. And our Honorable Prime Minister in that Man Ki Baat had invoked a Tamil poet, and he wanted to convey a very, very important message to all of us. And sir, the message I would like to place before this esteemed August House, before my esteemed colleagues. Sir, he had said, what we know is just a handful of sand. What we do not know is like the universe in itself, and similar is the case with the biodiversity of the country, that is India. And so we need to know about biodiversity. We need to know the needs of wildlife and the habitat. We all need to work together. This is a very meticulously drafted bill, and I would just make an appeal to all my esteemed colleagues to kindly support the bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.